Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through my collection prior to the game's second anniversary. I basically wanted to make this video to sort of share my progress as far as weapons, Wyrmprints, dragons, adventurers, the Dragon's Roost, the Halidom, and give you a sense of where I'm at today after a couple of years playing Dragalia Lost. I decided to make this video now because so much is about to change with the version update 2.0 coming to the game that I fully expect this might be the last time we can sort of view the collection in this way. Things may be drastically different after this, and now seemed like a good time to do this type of video as well, just because it's something players clamor for from time to time, and with the second anniversary it felt like an appropriate milestone to just kind of touch base and see where I'm at. So that's going to be what we do in today's video. It's definitely going to be more of a leisurely one, where we just kind of look through and discuss. I'll share some stories of particular characters or particular items I have, and what they mean to me or their origin. So if you're in for that kind of thing, stick around. I'm trying to make this video on the longer side. First time I've done that intentionally. Usually I'm just long-winded by nature, but I'm trying to do that because I'm posting this during a long 12-hour maintenance for the game, and at the end of that maintenance is going to be our Dragalia Digest for the second anniversary. So if you're in that downtime, trying to figure out what to do, hopefully this gives you something to keep yourself entertained, and you can follow along and let me know about your collection as well. I'd be curious to hear about that, even if it's just a few things that you worked on recently or are particularly proud of. I think that's one of the cool things about Dragalia. There's a lot to collect and a lot to do that you can farm up or you can earn yourself, as opposed to just having to rely upon luck to summon. There's certainly an element of luck in summoning, no doubt, but there's also things like weapons, Wyrmprints, that you can build out a collection of just by playing the game with a good amount of regularity. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get into it. I think we'll start off with the Halidom, then look at the Dragon's Roost, and then we'll go to the teams page to see the majority of what we're working with here. Of course, I have to remind myself to look at the items tab as well, since there are certain items you can only see on there. Alright, here we are in the Halidom. Let's go ahead and collect our rupees and dragon fruit. So this is basically the setup I have for the Halidom. We'll hide the UI so we can kind of admire the Halidom. I'm hoping they expand it. There's obviously this wooded, unoccupied area here. Little pond, that's kind of cute. But I'm hoping they expand it just because it'd be nice to have some extra room to put some more facilities. Maybe they could even expand it past this bridge on the other side. You know what this kind of reminds me of? In Breath of the Wild, I don't remember... Gosh, there's so much I don't remember about the terminology in that game and the naming of places, which is funny because I played it very fervently and very, very dedicatedly. But I remember in my mind, I have etched a scene when you're going to the village that Rivali is from, and there's a little path up to that village, which is largely vertical, and you're above a grand set of canyons, if you will, and you're along this little path. There's some small bodies of water, like little ponds, some trees, and several bridges you have to cross to get there. This little outcrop on the bottom of the Halidom kind of reminds me of that, like when you're going across that little bridge and then you get into this big city, in that case more of a vertical city, but similar to it, there's kind of like a moat around the Halidom. Or I guess in that, I can't remember if there's water or if it's just a canyon. I think there is water. And then like behind it, you fly. There's some shrines behind it, or some singing or some kind of activity I remember I had to do. Like, it's so weird how that game is etched in my memory. But Dragalia, not much has really changed in the Halidom look and layout since we first got access to it. There's some curious spots around here, for sure. There's interesting things happening. You can see some little nooks and crannies, a little island off to the side. I still want there to be some type of Halidom-centric event or Halidom-oriented event where maybe you're decorating, maybe it's a defensive event, but like set explicitly in the Halidom. I think that would be kind of cool. There's a volcano there, of course, where Mim hangs out. A lot of bones, like these. Surely these must be dragon bones, which is kind of morbid, but I don't think many other creatures leave bones of that magnitude. I guess these are things that are in everybody's Halidom, but to talk about what's in my Halidom, it is currently maxed out. The thing that took me the longest to do is probably these Dracoliths and Fafnirs, which require playing the High Dragon Trials. These days, prior to version 2.0, a lot of players just tend to skip over those or come back to them at a later date because it's easier to progress directly from the Chimera tech into the Agito Uprising. But the High Dragons I still find to be very fun. I did a lot of my play for them ultimately in solo play as I was trying to grind out the rest of the materials I needed. And I only recently hit the max facility level again after having it for a while earlier this year. I only recently hit it again. I want to say maybe about 3 weeks back. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on the Halidom. I have it arranged loosely by element, so flames up here, water's over here, light is here, wind in the middle, and then shadow down here. But the addition of so many of these trees and weapon facilities has led me to kind of give up on that ambition. I'll probably rearrange it sometime soon. I do have a lot of decorations, and I actually ran out of space, so usually I try to put every single object, but I have all these decorations I can't place anymore. So I'm kind of a horror vacui person when it comes to Halidom decorating. Like, I want every possible cell to be filled. I know some people don't even put anything out at all, but I just couldn't do that, so that's how my setup is. And I guess I'll show you just the info so you can see what the limits are for stuff. Halidom level 10, facility level 1991, rupees, dragon fruits, and honey tea limits. These are my boosts. I rarely look at this screen, but it does remind me, when you look at it, that currently Flame has the highest boost level. And I believe that's because the Flame facility, the Arctos Monument, has higher max level than the Shadow facility, Accursed Archives, Library Obscura. So even though both of them have their tier 2 Agito and therefore have a level 25, I want to say, Agito tree, Flame still comes out on top. And you can see how wind is kind of like the weakest element right now when it comes to pure stats. So rip Eleonora. But for weapon types, bows fare a little bit more favorably. Bows and daggers both have 1% more because the Crescendo of Courage event had, Siren's event had a facility, the Seashell or Seabed stage, Seafloor stage, something like that, that boosts bows and daggers specifically, and that one had a max level of 35. And then for dragons, these are all the same. This is just Fafnir and Dracolith goodness. So let's take a look to confirm some of those names. Oh, that's the festival stage. That's a different stage. Where's the stage that I want to look at? Yeah, Seabed stage. And what was the other facility whose name we were pondering? Well, I can't really remember now. So I guess that's going to do it for the Halidom. Alright, let's move on and check out the Dragon's Roost. As for the Dragon's Roost, I'm one of those people who does tend to max bond with all my dragons. I've faithfully logged in every day to give all the possible gifts. That is what I recommend most players do because you do get Sunlight Ore when you get your dragon to bond level 30, and even prior to that you get some Wyrmite because you unlock dragon stories which you can read. They're pretty fun to check out, they're more lore oriented, and you get some Wyrmite as a reward, so I do encourage players to form a bond with their dragons. There are those who strategically keep their bond low so that they're transformed to the dragon for a shorter amount of time, and in some cases that can be beneficial. But as you can see, I've just decided to go all the way with my dragons. All of them are max bonds. I have 99 of them. I think I'm missing between 3 and 5. I want to say it's like Andromeda, Ramiel, and who else am I missing? Well, there's a few more in there that I'm missing for sure. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. If I remember, I will post it in the description since there is a nice collecting tool for Dragalia, and maybe I'll post a link to that as well so you can check out your own collection. But it's a few dragons only that I'm missing, and everything else I've been lucky enough to pick up, even if it's just a single copy. I want to highlight 2 dragons in particular. So let me start with Pele. Pele has been here with me since almost the beginning of the game. Pele has been my go-to flame dragon since the very first raid of the game. She was the welfare dragon for that raid, Loyalty's Requiem, and she carried me through standard High Midgard Swarmer. I didn't have any better dragon. I didn't even have a single copy of Ifrit, the 4-star flame strength dragon. I didn't have any 6-star flame dragons, so I used her for my very first clear, which was in January of 2019 after the game had come out in September of 2018. And I did not get a max unbound 5-star gotcha dragon until Dragalia Jeanne d'Arc, who I max unbound, I want to say in March of 2019, after the game had come out in September 2018. And basically the reason I maxed out Jeanne d'Arc was I wanted to use her for Hybrid Hilda's trial, which came out second after High Midgard Swarmers. So I ended up clearing it the prior month, the month of February, with a 3 unbound copy of her on my Pietro. It was barely enough to get the clear, I think with literally 1 second or possibly 2 seconds left. I died at the end, the last minute. Wasn't a deathless clear, but it was my first clear. And Pietro is still one of my favorite characters to this day, because that was kind of when I felt like I really broke into and got excited about a lot of the more endgame content. So Dragalia Jeanne still has a special place in my heart for that reason. She is one of the first powerful dragons I had. But as you can see, nowadays there's a lot of powerful dragons here. So we'll take a look at these again when we head over to our collection page. But let's look at our items first. I'll head to the teams page so you can kind of see what team I have set up right now. Just to be honest, my teams are completely disorganized. Like, I have a lot of repeat teams, I have a lot of slightly varied teams that I've tested various solos and autos with. So my teams are not really in a good shape. I only have a few teams set up that are for dedicated co-op. So I'm not going to show off all my team pages because I haven't gotten around to organizing that just yet. But from here, we'll go to the items. So let's open up our items. These are my consumable items. Kind of low right now. I've fairly recently been using a lot of honey. Haven't used as many ashes, but I wouldn't mind using them. I just haven't had the time or gotten around to it. I've actually liked playing Tartarus's Wrath a lot in co-op using light teams, so I wouldn't mind spending some of those, but I just haven't really had a lot of opportunity to do so lately. So I've more so been spending the honey and using it to do some solo play, and really as a time factor, like, that's kind of where it's come down to, or like what it's come down to for me lately. It's not so much that I have anything against co-op play, but it is more time consuming, so for solo it's just nice to be able to guarantee clears, and also you never feel like you're burdening anyone with taking up their time. Whereas in co-op, I feel like if I'm having an off day or just not doing as well and I'm playing some co-op, I always feel kind of bad because I'm putting other people through that. In solo, it's kind of, a lot of it's auto or maybe semi-auto. You can relax, do whatever you're doing. And yeah, I've kind of enjoyed it a lot more than I would have expected. Hopefully the anniversary strikes a little more balance though. Tartarus got me back into co-op. You know, to be honest, I really like Tartarus in co-op. So I'm more open to it than in the past. And also, I've been really enjoying Master Volk's Wrath lately. Been playing some fun clears of that over on the Discord. Now I have 7 out of 8 of the Volk weapons, the tier 2 Flame Agita weapons. So I only have 1 left to go. And it's all because, you know, people have been playing it over there, and I've actually had a lot of fun joining them on it. So especially using Incognito Nefaria, she has been a blast to play as. As for summoning tickets, not a lot going on right now, hopefully enough to weather us through this anniversary, and hopefully to weather us through the collaboration. Honestly, that's the thing I'm most worried about. I feel like the free summons, I may luck out on the anniversary. But that collaboration, man, if it's a Xenoblade collaboration, if it's like Zelda level, it's gonna be really hard to save. Especially with some of the theory crafting I've been reading about, like if it's Xenoblade, you know, Pyra and Mithra could work in a really cool way if they decide to go with Xenoblade 2. They could use stances similar to Valerio and Mitsuba to where you could switch between them. Their Dragon Drive might summon a very special variant or character. They could probably give Rex as the welfare unit because, let's be honest, I feel like Rex is like the most sad protagonist or the most pitiful out of all the characters in the various series. They could maybe have like, I guess, Shulk on the banner because people would actually want to pull for him, and maybe Elma on the banner from X. That would be really, really hype. I actually could see it fitting in super well. But if something like that happens, my Wyrmite and vouchers might not cut it. Not gonna lie, especially if I want to try sweep the banner. So I'm getting a little more concerned than I have been in the past. I've been fairly laissez-faire with my spending on various galas and gala remixes. Probably about time I changed that. As for my other resources, we'll take a look at this, but I am super low on rupees. My mana seems fine. Eldwater, I've been slowly building up a little stash here to the point where I can almost max node a character. You need 73k to do that to unlock all the co-ability nodes. A little ways off from that, but I think just from random drops of prints, I will get there soon. Let's flip over to the other materials, and I'll leave it on this page for a second so you can peruse while I have a little tea for myself. All right, feeling refreshed. Okay, so as for this page, you can see my golden crystals and various crystals are pretty low. There's like 3 characters who are not max level for me that are mana spirals that I've been trying to max level, but I just didn't save up enough crystals. Augments, looking kind of high. I'm feeling pretty good about the character augments. That's basically 7, almost 8 characters I can fully augment if I want to. Same thing, honestly, with the dragon resources. The whetstone to a large degree, but that's going to get reworked, so who knows. And ever since the Mega Man collaboration last year, I have not needed any of these consecrated water. When new prints come out, I get the prints using whatever Eldwater I have. I do like to collect them like that, even if they're not that powerful. And then I just max level them right away. And for whatever reason, I haven't been wanting for this, but when I first started playing, this was a super scarce commodity. It was really hard to level up a print to max. Same thing with dragons to a lesser extent. And I've never really felt gated by the whetstones when it comes to weapons. I think mostly because I play a good amount of Imperial Onslaught. I still do my dailies for that. As far as augments for Wyrmprints, it looks like I have basically enough to do 10 Wyrmprints under the old system, or after the version update, I should be able to do 20 Wyrmprints. So I'm feeling pretty good, honestly, about the Wyrmprints. Like, I've just been playing so many double drop Manticore battles and Chimera battles, actually. Yeah, not Manticore anymore, Chimera. And double drop, well, not double drop, but just Agito gives you multiple augments, that's what I should say. Agito, High Dragon Trials, like all of that content that is the content you tend to grind out repeatedly if you have beaten everything else in the game. It gives you lots of augments, so that's why I have all these augments just sitting here. As for the orbs, I'm actually pretty good on tier 4 orbs in several elements except for, I guess you could say, the light element and to some extent the shadow, because there are multiple characters on my Mana Spiral backlog. But yeah, I haven't had too much of a problem getting these tier 4 orbs. And I think in one case, or maybe two, with the Flame and Wind, I want to say they had like a summer pack that I did get, and I've used the Diamantium from, but for Elemental Tomes, I believe. But I think that gave you like 50 of these, because it does feel like I have an inflated amount of these. And I remember getting it at the time because I wanted an easier way to Mana Spiral some characters. Obviously I didn't take full advantage because, as you can see, I have no Champion's Testaments. Yeah, that has been a real roadblock for me. I really need those. I've been Mana Spiraling a lot of characters. The thing that really hit my Champion's Testaments hard was I started trying to do more auto comps and experimented a lot with shared skills. But in order to share a skill, you need a 50 node character. And to have a 50 node character, if it's a 5-star, you need to spend 3 Champion's Testaments. So that cost me quite a bit. I don't regret it. Like, I got Lily's shared skill, and I actually took her all the way to 70 nodes, and it's been fantastic and really fun to get to use her, and especially her shared skill. But it was costly, so now I have no Champion's Testaments. I'm really trying to budget in that sense. I don't really want to buy the monthly Champion's Testaments packs because it's like $40 for 4 Testaments, even though you get some Diamantium. It's just a little out of my price range, so I've been trying to hold back. And as I say that, you probably are looking at these adamantite ingots here. Yes, I have bought all of the monthly packs for those. There have only been 4 available. I literally joked when these first came out because I thought nobody would ever buy this just to unbind 6-star weapons. So my joke was, there are 4 months between now and the anniversary. So what this suggested to me was, on the anniversary, we're going to get tier 3 6-star weapons. And only if you bought all the packs would you be ready to, max unbind your tier 3 6-star weapon. So once I made that joke, I decided I actually have to follow through on this now. What if this actually comes true? And also, it's kind of like, this is the pack that you can buy if you don't need an advantage in the game. Like, I feel like I didn't really get a whaling advantage from this necessarily, but I was able to show some support for Cygames, Nintendo, Dragalia Lost by buying this. So now I'm just going to sit on these. If there's ever like a harder tier Agito weapon or something, maybe I'll use them. But after this month, seeing that it's not really happening, it's not really a thing to use these, I'm not going to be able to continue buying these. Maybe I'll buy Champion's Testament packs because I do like to get those shared skills and share videos where I use them or make content around them. This just has not been doing anything for me. As far as the rest of the materials, Rainbow Orbs, looking pretty good, looking pretty strong. My scales are kind of low in some elements because I just recently finished upgrading all my Dracoliths and Fafnir statues. These nice Testaments I have a billion of. Hopefully we'll be able to trade these for Champion's Testaments. I totally would. Have 1 Sunlight Stone right now, 1 Moonlight Stone, a bunch of steel bricks, a couple Damascus ingots, mostly off of... I tend to get a lot of Damascus crystals from grand bounties in Nightmare raids. And I want to say, yeah, for Fractured Futures, there were a lot of Damascus crystals in the emblem rewards also. So now I have 2 of those and a silver key. And I guess that's it for, let's see what these are called, upgrade materials. So now let's look at treasure. Alright, so for treasure, some things are in a more pitiful state than others. As you can see, some of my High Dragon Great Spears, basically as soon as I finished my Dracoliths, I was like, done with this forever, goodbye. I'm not going to even try get up past 1 of these Great Spears, or in the case of High Jupiter, literally 0. It's not actually the best thing because I might need some of those eventually for Mana Spirals, but I can always go back and get them. And then you see the tails and I guess the horns, and you could see how the grinding I did was not super even. It was kind of lopsided. Like, for some reason, I have a ton of High Jupiter stuff. In all cases, I have all of the weapons for these High Dragons and all the facilities, etc. But yet somehow, I just randomly have a lot more of the Jupiter and Mercury materials. I don't know why. Maybe I did something wrong in my farming along the way, or did the majority of my farming before a version update or something happened. Like, I really have no idea why this happened this way. But I will say, for context, the water weapons were the first that I completely cleared out and farmed out. The light weapons were the second that I completely cleared out and farmed out. And only in the past 2 to 3 weeks did I collect the rest of the wind, shadow, and flame weapons just because I wanted a complete set of tier 2 High Dragon weapons. So I only got water and light beforehand because it was well before their Agito trials released, those being the last 2 Agito trials, Twins and then Tartarus. So I figured I have plenty of time, I'm not doing weeklies in the other elements because those have Agitos now. Let me just do my weeklies in those elements, and that's why I ended up getting getting those weapons earlier. Maybe that's why I have so many more materials from that as well, because I just did weeklies in that. Let's scroll down a bit more so you can see some of the other materials. Gonna take another sip of tea as we bide our time here until the maintenance ends. Alright, that was really nice. So, what do we have here? A lot of IO mats, obviously. You just play IO twice a day. It's practically always on double drops now. Maybe it'll be triple for the anniversary. It's just a habit for me. It's just a routine. Brushing my teeth, flossing in the morning. I have my my phone on a little stand there. It's just doing IO by itself in auto battle and co-op. Doing my various dailies in the morning before I go off to work. That's just become part of my ritual. So I just do 2 IOs per day. It's a good way to burn wings with lower effort. And I guess this is what I have to show for it. I was kind of tempted to trade some of these materials in and get Wyrmprints from the treasure trade, because it seems like we're not going to be able to do this after the version update and sell those Wyrmprints for Eldwater. But ultimately I decided against it. I just figured we don't know how much exactly it's going to cost to upgrade these various nodes on the weapons and Wyrmprints going forward with the system being totally reworked. And I figured I'd rather have the materials just in case, and even if that doesn't pan out, hopefully I can put these materials to good work if we ever get level 40 of our dojos, which honestly I kind of think we will, because we have level 40 elemental altars. So I guess that's pretty much it as far as the IO mats. Let's take a look now at the Agito materials. Agito, not really that well balanced. I mean, I have some Tartarus progress happening. I was basically trying to save up or make sure I'm within striking distance so I can immediately max out my tree when Master Ciela comes out. I think you need 400 silvers and 100 gold to max that out. So essentially I just set it up so that I can auto out 70 of the golds from Expert once Master's out, because the drop rates will be better for Experts after Master comes out due to the survival bonus. For Twins, I have not worried about it at all. I've only done standard clears to max out my tree, and two clears of Expert Twins, both in solo play, so I'm really not looking at that until later in the year. I'll take care of it eventually. And for Volk and Kayan, I'm down to my last few weapons on those. Tartarus working on my 3rd weapon. I have plenty of Talon Stones still, although those go by quickly when upgrading the Dracalis in particular. A lot of Looking Glasses, small amounts of Damascus Crystals, Sunlight Ore, Golden Fragments, Twinkling Grains. I always trade these in for the more powerful material, or like the actual Unbind material in the treasure trade. Small amounts of Void Leaves and Void Seeds. As I said earlier, I have practically no rupees, and that includes almost no rupees reserved in my Void materials, because that is the most efficient way to collect rupees. Generally speaking, either that or endgame content also gives good rupee drops. For the rest of this stuff, I really don't know if this is a lot or a little. Like, these just happen to be what I have. I haven't farmed up the Draconic Essences in particular. I have been spending my Fafnir medals on random stuff, which I might come to regret if they add some really good things to the trade and I want them all at once. For some of these Void materials, I expect them to be used as part of the upgrade trees after the weapon rework, so who knows if I'm going to really be missing those. I've treated the Astral Shards the same way as the Fafnir medals, so I've just burnt them randomly on rupees and stuff, even though I might end up wanting to have saved them. And then these are the tomes I have left after spending Diamantium from purchases. So I have these tomes set up for first a couple things in particular. I wanted to use this for Cassandra's shared skill. I think I wanted to use the Water Tome. Let's see, what was I going to try get with the Water Tome? I don't know, I might not have been decided. I was maybe considering getting a Bog shared skill because I don't have one of those. And the Flame one, I was looking at Yukata Cassandra, but Now, I'm not sure if I really have the resources or I'm going to try 50 node or not, because I just don't have Champion's Testament, so I might end up using this just for fun on Incognito Nefaria, because I like her shared skill animation. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for these materials. I just don't have anything to say of value on the rest of these Void materials. I mean, they're basically all from Void Endeavors and a few other grinding sessions, which I'll point out when we get to our weapons, but this is the stash right now, so we'll see how much compensation I get for the goodwill gesture and how that changes. Let's finally get into the collection page proper. So we can look at the adventurers, weapons, Wyrmprints, dragons. And I suppose we'll start off with the dragons, since we were talking about those a little earlier, and I'm going to sort by date. Descending, no, let's do ascending so we can see the oldest dragon I've gotten, and then the most recent. This isn't going to be totally accurate because for 4 stars, I've sold sometimes the first copy I originally had and kept a later Max Unbound copy, so that's going to cause a little bit of a challenge. But again, I'll leave this on, drink some water, drink some tea, let you produce this, and I'll be back in just a second. Alright, so as you can see, I had my Great Worms first, basically in the same progression that you get them in the story. The first 5-star dragon, and apparently the first dragon I ever got, but more likely just the first dragon I ever really kept from my summoning, was Nidhogg. So I thought, mistakenly, Nidhogg was on Raid Up on that very first summon showcase in the game. It turns out there was only one Raid Up 5-star dragon, and it was Jeanne d'Arc. So I just randomly got a Nidhogg, and this was my only 5-star dragon for a while, but never really close to being Max Unbound until recently. I only Max Unbound it thanks to the Draconic Essences, I want to say. I otherwise wouldn't have. Either that, or maybe toward the very end of my time playing Dragalia, like maybe after I'd gotten Grace, I may have Max Unbound it sometime then. Because I know I did use that on her for a while, and I want to say it was maxed out, so Nidhogg has been with me a long time, and a couple 3-star dragons, but not long after, Pele makes an appearance, some more 3 stars, Unicorns, Kindling Imp, some more 3 stars, Halloween Silk, and interestingly, the first time Silk was run, I only picked up 1 copy, but luckily they eventually added Moonlight Stones to the game, so I remember for like the first 2 months Moonlight Stones were available, I was saving up all my stones because I was like, I'm going to put them all towards Silk because I can't get her back. She was only here for Halloween. And that's how I maxed her out. Eventually got a regular Silk, a Phoenix. Phoenix was a big get, so I went for Phoenix pretty hard on Naveed's banner. That was the first time we had Phoenix in the game, and she was a game-changing dragon, I want to say. Wait, let me correct myself. That was the first time she was on a raid up, because I do remember she was used in the Loyalties Requiem raid, but she hadn't been on a raid up, I believe, until Naveed's banner. Man, Dragalia memories. It's been a while. But it was a game changer for sure, because raids were still pretty tough, we're under-geared. Her healing could just like carry teams in raids. So I was super happy. I just wanted 1 copy of her. I settled for 1 copy. Obviously now she's been maxed out. Sylvia, the next free welfare dragon we got from a raid from the Kindness and Captivity event. Then, of course, Marinimus from Resplendent Refrain. Super cute dragon, still one of the only ways to really cause freeze in the shadow element, I believe. Unless, of course, you're Audric and you just become a Jeanne d'Arc, and you're doing High Jupiter's Trial back in the old days on Master Difficulty. Some more 3 stars, Garuda. Randomly picked up a copy of Garuda when... I don't even know if this was on Lowen's banner, because I remember getting Luis super early on a single, so I don't even think I went super hard for Garuda on that banner. But Poliahu, another nice 4-star dragon pickup. Dragon Yul'Jan, so this was the first one I really maxed Unbound. I think I got like 2 copies through summoning, bought a $10 Sunlight Stone pack, and then saved my Sunlight Ore until I could eventually max Unbind her. That pack that I bought to get an Unbind on her was the first purchase I made in Dragalia. It was like 5 months into the game. and it was just because it was such a nice guaranteed value. New Year's got Shishimai from the New Year's Tidings. Gosh, New Year's Tidings? Yeah, New Year's Tidings Fortune from Afar raid event, the first New Year's raid event. Shishimai, hilarious meta choice for raids because Shishimai's buff applies to all allies, which means not just your team, but other players' characters as well, and their teams as well. So you could do quadruple Shishimai in raids, and it was pretty entertaining. I guess around that time, after the New Year's raid had started, but relatively early in January, I got my first copy of High Midgard Stormer. It seems like in some of my summoning there, I picked up a Jeanne d'Arc. Oh, I remember Jeanne d'Arc. Yeah, so I got both Hildegard and Jeanne d'Arc when I was going for Gala Cerise on our first ever gala. Actually, it looks like quite a bit of time passes at that point because Penglai was part of the Skyborn Spectacle raid for Lunar New Year, so this would have been in February, I think. I guess that's when I got my first Leviathan, my first Prometheus, who was on the... I think I know where I got Leviathan too, perhaps. But Prometheus, anyway, Prometheus was on the Valentine's banner for that year. And I really wanted to go for the Valentine's banner, but I had spent so much on Cerise, not monetarily, but Wyrmite-wise at the time, because I was going more free-to-play. And I had only spent those $10 in the game to get that guaranteed Sunlight Stone. But I just had no Wyrmite, so I couldn't go for the Valentine's banner. I decided to pull until I got one 5-star, and it ended up being Prometheus. Leviathan, I want to say I might have gotten from a dragon ticket or like leftover diamantium from daily deals from that very first purchase I made. But it's a little bit of a blur. Then I guess Void Battles came out because I started getting these Void Dragons. I made the terrible mistake of selling my other 3 bronze Fafnirs. I just thought, when am I ever going to need this much adventure XP? All my characters by this point were max level, because it was possible to get that many golden crystals and just use a variety of characters. However, I didn't realize Mana Spiral would be so expensive, so I regret selling the 3 other bronze Fafnirs, and silver as well, but silver hasn't really come up. I haven't wanted for mana. I got Agni, 1 copy. This is definitely a dragon that I maxed out in the essences. And then Hybrid Hilda from playing Hybrid Hilda's Trial. But not until much, much later did I actually max her out. It was like over a year later, easily. Phantom from Felicia's raid event, A Waltz with Fate. That event was actually never rerun. It might be the only event that was never rerun and never put in the compendium. So it's never been seen since, I want to say. Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh came out, I think, with Albert and Odetta. And I think that was like the only 5-star I got off that banner, I want to say. Maybe I got Albert, but I feel like Albert came later at a random time for me. We'll be able to verify some of this soon. Random Liger pickup. Eventually I had enough Void Seeds to get all these gold Fafnirs, but of course, randomly, I also beat High Mercury's Trial in between, I guess, so that kind of sets everything in a weird order, but that must have been my first clear of High Mercury's Trial. Got a Chthonius, a Pazuzu. I remember going really crazy trying to get the Wyrmprint Forest Bonds, and then Pazuzu shows up a couple banners later, and they've removed Wyrmprints from the summoning pool all of a sudden, and you can now have 2 of them. And I strongly regret spending so much Wyrmite trying to get a specific Wyrmprint. It was such a waste, but I felt like I needed that to power up my Eleonora. As it turns out, Resounding Rendition, perfectly good Wyrmprint. In a lot of cases, it was better than Forest Bonds even at the time. Poseidon, Submerg. Yulong was from Xuansong's first raid event, Echoes of Antiquity, where you fought against Qiten Dashang. Got my first Zephyr, and all these that are level 100 now, for a long time were not. Konohana Sakia, Vojinoi, Lindworm, Arctos. I assume I had Vojinoi way earlier, but I just happened to have kept this copy because I know I had Vojinoi for that very first Loyalties Requiem raid. Eventually High Jupiter, Rock, Erasmus. Erasmus was from the Splash of Adventure raid. Takamikazuchi. all-star in my Coliseum team, so I've been liking Takemizuchi, hoping it makes an appearance when we get Master Tartarus's Wrath. Shinobi, where I went all out. I did like 100 summons on a dragon special to get my first Shinobi after finding out how good it was. Vayu, Freya, High Zodiarch, and then this marks the first anniversary, mini-mids. So everything up to this point was first anniversary stuff. In the second anniversary, I got a Cerberus, Long, Parallel Zodiarch from Fractured Futures, my first Cupid, a second Shinobi, a second Konohana Sakuya, a second Pazuzu, Leviathan but not fully built, my first Apollo, Siren, and Siren was actually a dream summon, which I kind of regret doing, Halloween Meridimes, Kagutsuchi, second Siren, yep, naturally maxed out a second copy after dream summoning and using 4 Sunlight Stones, big regret on that, Popstar Siren, still not really fully built, just haven't had copies of her, another Tak, Core Saint Phoenix, another Dragalia Lost arc that maxed out going for Dragalia Malura, which took a lot of summons. Same thing with the extra value, just randomly have an extra value Apollo. Marishi 10 got for the first time during the rerun of Ieyasu's raid, so didn't have her the first year, but at the same time picked up Daiko Kuten this time around, Ibisu as well from Clawful Caper. First Garland, second Arctos, first Kamui, Fatalis, Dread King Rathalos, and regular Rathalos from the Monster Hunter collab. Eventually got some Epimetheus unbinds on an Epimetheus. Nimbus from Valerio and Mitsuba's banner. Extra Chthonius, extra Zephyr, mini Zodiarch, mini High Zodiarch, or I guess he's not a high dragon, he's just a mini dragon. Yeah, mini Zodi. Mini Zodi from the 1.5 year anniversary. Another random Shinobi. Barbatos from the... Man, I'm starting to forget the raid names already. The Get Up raid. I don't remember the name, I just remember the track. The Mad Kid raid. Scars of the Syndicate, that's right. Chthonius, finally picked up a copy of Chthonius. Loving Chthonius. I really actually wanted to kind of go for him at the time, but I spent so much on the anniversary gala for Cerise that I had nothing left on the Fractured Futures banner at the time. And luckily, just from the free tenfolds, I got both Cassandra and Delphi, but didn't get Chthonius. The reason I wanted Chthonius was because Chthonius, technically a great worm. You can't say that about every dragon that's in the gacha pool. So yeah, eventually got Chthonius, and then Chthonius was one of my biggest projects to merge up from the Draconic Essences, which I've now done. Another Freya. One random Easter Bunny dragon, Gaibna and Krydna, but have not really invested in because I have no stones. Hopefully we'll get a Gala Water Dragon I can invest in. Another Corsair Phoenix, another Cerberus, an Ariel, a Styx, which probably the worst dragon in the game right now, to be honest. Another Vayu, another Konohana Sakuya. Then we have the rise of the Gala Dragons. So the first Gala Dragon I got was actually Gala Cat Sith. I skipped Gala Mars banner, or I barely summoned on it. I skipped Gala Mars and Gala Alex, or basically just did like maybe 1 5-star on both of those. It ended up being those were pretty powerful banners to have skipped. The reason I skipped them was just aesthetically, I don't really care for Mars. I mean, Mars is a sick looking dragon. He's very sweet, don't get me wrong. And Alex is similarly like a really beloved popular character, but neither of them really did a whole lot for me. Like, I kind of realized I tend to like more cutesy stuff, and that tends to be the type of thing I summon for. So I just decided to skip them. I didn't really want to summon purely based on power if it wasn't something I was genuinely passionate about or genuinely interested in. It turned out I kind of missed not having that Mars power, but luckily I ended up getting Mars on a Gala Dragalia remix that came around. Then I got a couple Konohana Sakuya Summer Edition. Didn't unbind them together. By the way, look at this croc. Or is it an alligator with sunglasses? I mean, what is going on with the wildlife in this scene? It's one of the greatest. They are pretty fun dragons, but not all that useful, but maybe they will be for Master Ciela. but I did keep them separated, did some experiments. They're totally fine with no unbinds to do a full auto of Expert Ciela's Wrath, which is kind of nice. You can replace Vayus with them pretty easily. Second, Gala Mars. This was kind of a mistake. This is when I was trying to full auto Expert Volk and, well, full auto at first, but then eventually gave up and partial auto Master Volk. I decided, what if I have more firepower? And it just so happened, after using 4 Sunlight Stones on my first Volk, I randomly got another Volk on another Gala when he was not on focus. I guess it was whatever Gala had Summer Cone Hanasakuya, so probably the one with Sonoa and Norwin. And who was our Gala character that time around? Who was our Gala? Gala-Laxi. Yeah, so I got Gala-Laxi, but I randomly got another Gala Mars on the way. And I actually had been saving 4 stones for Thor, but I used them on Mars, on a second Mars, which, yeah, I wish I had those stones back now. I really didn't need 2 Thors. After that, it's all kind of filler stuff. Some dragons I've been collecting, 4-star dragons just to do some more budget clears, and Haster, who I randomly picked up, and finally, everybody's favorite, Gala Thor. Looking pretty good. Don't know what's going on here. Have never seen that in the game before. Dummy. Maybe it's referring to me spending all my stones on the wrong Gala dragon when I should have put them toward this majestic being of a dragon. But anyway, Gala Thor has been fantastic. Was able to pick up a copy, use some Sunlight Stones as well for the Unbind, but have been very glad to have Gala Thor in my collection. Kind of wish I had 2 of him instead of 2 Gala Mars, honestly, because the whole energy aspect of him is really fun and really unique. There are a lot of cool dragons in here that I hope see some shine eventually, like Dread King Rathalos. Even though we are all about Mars these days, like, this amount of 4-strike damage is nothing to scoff at. It's a lot of 4-strike damage. Engaged Decelerator is kind of interesting. Same thing, I feel the same way about Horus. Like, I didn't get Horus, but I have a good feeling Horus might have some potential, even though Mars is kind of considered the best dragon. And honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a dragon rework eventually, because it feels like something we could be due for. With the way they're reworking weapons and Wyrmprints, dragons are now the only ones where you actually have to merge them to kind of unbind them. So yeah, I think it could be something we see in the future. Okay, I think that's going to take us to Wyrmprints. So let me linger on the Wyrmprint page for a little bit, and I'll have some more tea, let you enjoy looking at this, and I'll chime back in just a moment. Alright, so how do we want to take a look at these Wyrmprints? I guess I'll start by showing you what's fully augmented. So you can see each of these rows has 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fully augmented rows, roughly, with a few plus 100s in here that I have lacked the rupees to completely reset all the augments on. So 12 times 5, let's just say 10 times 5, since a few of these are fibs, or maybe 11 times 5, roughly 55, you know, maybe a little bit more, maybe it's 60, but then I also have some augments stored up. So frankly, with the caps going to 50-50 on Wyrmprints instead of 100-100, I'm not at all concerned about being able to augment and cover like 80 to 90% of all the Wyrmprints in the game, especially all the ones that I actually actively want to use. I just have gotten a lot of augments, and it's one of those things that just comes with repeated play. Like, augments used to be super scarce when Astral Raids were the main source to get them, and you had to spend a lot of rupees to constantly be resetting your augments. And to be fair, I still do that because I have the habit of, as soon as I get augments, I look for my prints and decide on like a new one to max out instead of saving them for when I actually need them. But yeah, I'm happy I've gotten to this point just by playing a lot of the endgame repeatedly, playing Chimeras, playing Astral Raids. Like, I always empty the augments from treasure trades of events, and so eventually you just get enough. You just get a lot of them, and I feel like I finally have enough to have covered, probably right now, maybe 60 to 70% of what I want to do all the time, maybe even 80%, but there are still some really good prints here that are not augmented, and there are some prints I have dupes of. So let's start at the bottom. I do have all the Wyrmprints in the game. So at the bottom, I have my collection of, and we'll go ahead and do rarity. Everything except one print in here is max unbound, so you don't have to worry about the unbinding. But I have all the 2-star prints. Everything's max level, of course. 5 of those. And then all of the 3-star prints. I'm not even sure how many of them there are. But for a long time, this was the print I was missing, Pumpkin Pale. Because I decided to start collecting everything after Halloween of last year. And so this event just hadn't been rerun since that time, and it was the only print I was missing because it was a seasonal or limited time Wyrmprint. Luckily, Halloween came back earlier this year in the summer. The event was rerun, and I picked up that print at that time. So now I believe I should have all of the 3-star Wyrmprints. Another one that's a favorite of mine, of course, is this one featuring Faye. Gives you a little bit of dragon time. And I'm also a fan of Tiny Dragoniatas because it is just super, super cute. You can see some of the imps, the baby dragons on here. It is adorable. Secret Friend, also pretty adorable with Elisand's ribbon on it. A lot of these 3-star prints, though, they do have a more generic feel to them. Same with the 2-stars, so some of them even have the same effects. I'm okay with the fact that we have to use 3 and 4-star prints for our weapons going forward, though, because these right now see almost no use. I have no idea why this is even equipped. Why is this randomly equipped to somebody? But I kind of love that it is, because it's the one Wyrmprint I was missing for so long. So whatever team I randomly have that on, I am grateful for. Okay, when it comes to 4-star prints, 4-star prints really used to be the bread and butter in Dragalia Lost. And I say that because, remember, prints used to be part of the summoning pool. It all came down to the gacha, what you had access to. So for a lot of players, 4-star prints were much more realistic to get max unbound compared to 5-stars. If you had a 5-star, you might have one copy and it may be a great print, but is that great print with one copy really better than a solid print where you have it max unbound? So I'll go through some of the 4-stars that really shined at the time, but Flower in the Fray was definitely one of them. This print is also kind of special because it's a nod to characters who were not in the game at launch but later added. So you can see on here Emma and Leia, or I don't think it's Leah, but I guess it could be. I haven't heard it pronounced myself, so she's on there in any case. I actually have 2 copies of Destiny's Hand because for auto, I was experimenting with having just the right amount of skill prep, and I wanted a 15% skill prep source. So kind of random, I know, but those kind of things do come up in auto. Otherwise, with these prints, some of these more defensive ones, you know, had their uses back in the day. You could give a character 100% burn res with combining that print and another one called Beauty Secret, which we'll take a look at in a second. Prints were the first place that Forte appeared, and it took her a long time to get into the game. After the first anniversary, well after it indeed, so I'm glad she's finally here. Same thing with the Sisters of the Anvil. This was the first time Renee, Ramona, and Reyna appeared. I mean, I guess Ramona, you know, is in the splash art of the game when it comes to the crafting page or the upgrade screen, so she's always kind of been present, but this was the first time we had the other sisters and really didn't know a lot about them. Otherwise, let's look for some interesting ones. This was the print that we got for free from the first raid. Used to have a 3rd ability, Fraganoth's Bane. They used to use the raid Wyrmprints to do extra damage against the raid bosses back when you could only equip 1 Wyrmprint total. Now you're going to be able to equip 5. Funny how things change. Pipe Down. There's a really nice castle story with Rickard that everybody should see. It's a really fun one, and this always reminds me of it. I decided to go back and collect these Wyrmprints, which previously I didn't have in my collection because I had upgraded them to the High Dragon variety, but now I have them. Here's Beauty Secret, the Wyrmprint I was talking about, that for the first time, you could combine that with Fireside Gathering, then any character could have 100% burn res, which was kind of spicy against standard Brunhilde's Trial. Silk Lens a Hand, limited prints from the first Halloween event. Better Together, our welfare print from the Kindness in Captivity raid event. Saintly Delivery, just such a sweet print. I mean, this is a really beautiful print with the artwork. Children at Play, they're so happy. From the Dragon Yule event, of course. Now it's no longer limited, it's part of the permanent pool because of the event compendium. As the Snow Falls was from the Sabinok raid event, Resplendent Refrain, with Elias and Lucretia and Vixel. Hanatsuki Rally, limited print from the first New Year's run. From the New Year's raid, Luck of the Draw. I love the art style in this. I do think it's really beautiful. And greatest source of buff time for Shadow Adventurers on that. So it does have some nice utility. This was our welfare print from the Lunar New Year raid, Skyborn Spectacle. This was from Felicia's raid, Waltz with Bait. And, well, I think this was like a White Day print, First Rate Hospitality, and a good looking one at that, and a pretty good print in its own right. Eventually we got some more powerful 4-star prints like his Clever Brother, and Plaguebringer I would put into that category as well, it's up here. The Plaguebringer marked maybe peak Affliction Punisher meta, and it's still very widely used, I would say. What other prints are interesting? I mean, this was from Echoes of Antiquity. This was from our first Fire Emblem crossover. Whoop. Nina, when are we going to get playable Nina? Hopefully soon, hopefully for the anniversary. Beautiful Nothingness, just a really nice portrait of John d'Arc, and actually quite a solid print for a while. I used to use this on Mikoto, get a lot of extra critical hits in. That was a pretty fun setup for him. Summer Stell's really cute print for Splash of Adventure. I just love the artwork on these. I could really just look through these all day. They're so beautiful. I have a ton of Odd Sparrows. When I was first learning how to do auto comps, I didn't realize how replaceable this is, but pretty much any source of healing double buff is going to get you what you want out of this type of print. Odd Sparrows is particularly nice because of the strength double buff aspect as well, but to a large degree that can be covered by Valiant Crown, or in a lot of comps it's not even necessary to have extra strength buffs, but having the extra survival is pretty important. So I really only need 2 of these that I use actively, but I have 4. I think the Bewitching Magician was, yeah, I think this was from Fractured Futures actually. From Whence He Comes, another really sweet one with a totally different style than what you usually see with Heinwald and Haster. Yeah, this is a cool worm print, and a great buff time print with skill prep. Our Rathalos print from the Monster Hunter collab. There's a ton of Mega Man prints we'll get to. Clawful Caper, Game of Cat and Boar. The Widow's Lament. This is when Grace meta took over. And A Pledge of Protection, I think, is the welfare print. I want to say it doesn't look that welfare. It has 2 abilities. I don't know. Was there a welfare print from that event? I feel like there should be. Well, I guess Happy Times is a welfare print, so Pledge of Protection must have been a welfare print. I just didn't realize it. Fun in the Sun. And we haven't had a raid since then, huh? Since Doomsday Getaway. So yeah, those are all of the 4-star prints I have. Hopefully gonna actually get to use some of these pretty soon here with the new Wyrmprint system. I could just scroll through the artwork of them. It's also nice to look on the ability variant, because you can kind of get a better sense of what they actually do. So maybe we'll do that for the 5 stars, since I think they should still be sorted by rarity here. So let's look through the 5 stars. And what they do tends to be more relevant than some of these 4 stars, although this is all subject to change as of the update, because prints are going to have 1 ability for the most part. Some will have 2 because of event perks. But for 5 stars, have a couple Valiant Crown, excellent print, couple Flash of Genius, really only because there was an endeavor at one point that required you to max level a Flash of Genius, and it didn't count if you already had one max level. Evening of Luxury, Worthy Rivals, Auspex's Prayer, nice print for helpers. Luca's Prank, pretty good print. These types of prints, like Flash of Genius, Luca's Prank, Crystallian Envoy, all had a decent role to play when it came to the harder opening blast on high dragons, because back in the day that used to do more damage, so getting a nice amount of resistance alongside an offensive skill was a pretty good combination. Give Me Your Wounded, another print that could replace a high dragon Wyrmprint. Levin's Champion, Night Stalker. 4 Glorious Tempest. United by One Vision. This was our first anniversary freebie print. I still use this a ton. I think it's a great Wyrmprint. Cleo's Ruse, Tough Love, Crystallian Envoy, Witch's Kitchen, Of Tricks and Treasure. Plunder Pals. Plunder P. This was such a good print. This was just such a staple. This was the go-to OG. If you had no money to spend on this game, this is your free-to-play savior right here. And it had awesome artwork. This is from the Trick or Treasure facility event, and it was just given out for free. And yet, it had 30% skill damage, which, you know, granted, I think maybe at the time it was like 25, like, they changed the numbers, but it was a lot of skill damage. It was like the most skill damage you could get off a single print, let alone one that was free, and you got enough copies to max unbind it. You could take it all the way to level 100. So this is a really sweet print. I have very fond memories of that print. Candy Couriers, Jewels of the Sun, Gentle Winds, Gale of Beauty, Luis's Hobbies, another freebie. 4 Volcanic Queen, Resounding Rendition, still only have 1, never really felt the need for another one. It's a pretty good print. Heavenly Holiday, Wish Upon the Yule Tree, Prince of Dragon Yule, Slice of Dragon Yule, Greatest Gift, Happy New Year, Heralds of Hinamoto, Dragon the Tamer, Stellar Show, Astounding Trick, Warrior Maiden, Kung Fu Masters, 4 Chocolatiers. Yes, I have 4 Chocolatiers, all of which are max augmented. I hope I get refunded when they do the new system. Hopefully what it does is they just set it up so by default I'll have Chocolatiers in my collection, and they'll just have unlocked the 3 extra copies for me for free, because I happen to have 4 before. I didn't actually need this many Chocolatiers, but I tried to use them in various ways for auto battle. It turns out the game isn't too good at running 4 skill prep characters at once. One of them will usually get delayed compared to the other 3, which I didn't realize. So maybe I only need 3 of these, but I happen to have 4. And yes, I actually happen to have 5. So this is kind of my shameful Chocolatiers not max unbound, which was used for experimental purposes when I wanted 75% skill prep for auto timing instead of 100%, which does come up sometimes. And you can start to get the picture, the portrait of a person, if you will, that has serious problems maintaining Eldwater, because I just get these prints from the shop. I never have enough Eldwater to build my characters or, to just save a stash. Like, I do buy a lot of prints. So I'm kind of thankful that we could only have 1 of each from now on, because it'll simplify my collection a lot. And here we have 3 Petal Queens. These were free from the various Valentine's events, but still the only source of energy prep. The Rose Prince for some Affliction Guard. Some more Affliction countering prints, the Solitary Light, Partners in Truth. The Shining Overlord is just a great print. Fleeting Girl, Hitting the Books. This was kind of like Plunder Pals 2.0. This was really like our second source of the same effect for free. Let's see what else we have. There's one I want to mention in particular, Elegant Escort. You may remember this. We went through an Elegant Escort Mercurial Gauntlet meta for a while. It used to be all the rage to run a burn enabler in your Mercurial Gauntlet team so that you could run Elegant Escort Burning Punisher Prince. I would say this was the onset of the Punisher meta, because this was the only Punisher print of an Affliction that existed prior to the first anniversary of the game. And it was used a lot in Mercurial Gauntlet. Some more Valentine's prints and Meester prints. This is the infamous print that I spent like all my Wyrmite to get a single copy of, and then it became pretty much irrelevant since you could just buy any print you wanted from the shop. A Mother's Love, for Queen of the Blue Seas, The Heroes Arrive, couple Bonds Between Worlds, so these are Fire Emblem prints. After an Eternity, Study Rabbits, Bridal Dragon, Indelible Summer, Sister's Day Out, The Dragonsmiths, for King of the Skies, some Summertime prints, Twinfold Bonds. Might be one of the best prints, or the best print in the game. Honestly, like, daggers have such a good weapon print. You get that much strength and your max cap on skill damage. I'm really curious how they're going to rebalance prints like this that will only have one ability going forward. Like, will this just have this ability, or will it have this one? I would presume it's the first one, since that's weapon specific. That would kind of make more sense to me, but that's really going to change things quite a lot. Castle Cheercore and some Ruler of Darknesses, Endless Waltz, and Ancient Oath, and yes, this is the one I wanted to share. So this is a print that has special anniversary memories for me. It doesn't really do anything, it just gives you extra player EXP, but this is our Dowco print that was a bonus for getting the anniversary album last year. So this appears in your game if you got that album. And I don't even remember how this worked out. I think I had to put in like a code or something, or like enough people contacted Cygames so that they released the website in English so that you could redeem your code even if you weren't in Japan trying to get a ticket to a concert. Like, it was very elaborate, and it was like a big thing at the time where like certain people were collecting codes for the community and going to enter them all in, but you weren't sure if they were like legit and you could trust them. So eventually they released the website in English and you could just redeem your code and get this. But let's actually read through the stages. I don't think I've ever read through this, despite having this print for I guess over a year now, or almost a year. So it says, as I open my eyes, there lies a new world, new air, new sky, new colors. A prismatic breeze whistles beside me, and as it lifts me, the world melts away. Soon I gaze upon that world center from which the gentle wind blows, radiant like the sun. It looks like it could overwhelm me, and so from afar I sing. That brilliant gale lets out a deep cry, the pain it feels is real, and yet on it lives, and yet on it fights, warm and gentle and kind. I do hope dearly that my song reaches you. Let your heart open to mine, be it in sadness or joy, let me into your world, and so together we shall be. My hope is heard, and that breeze reaches out, arriving from afar. It follows my voice, and so I sing on, embracing the world entire. Very cool. Very beautiful print. We joked about it when Gala started. Are we gonna get Gala Dowco for the anniversary? Are we gonna get playable Dowco? It ended up being we never got Dowco. Now the musical score for Dragalia has a lot more artists contributing as well. But I want to say both the name of this print and the text might be lyrics of or a reference to the title theme for Dragalia. I don't know the exact translation, but this kind of sounds like the translation to me from what I remember. Maybe that's what it is, but somebody can probably tell me exactly what it is. You may know in the comment section, so if you do, let me know. Otherwise, just some more prints, some Mega Man prints. Only got one of each of those, didn't try to go ham collecting a bunch, but do have a couple of Spirit of the Seasons. This Blossom in the New Year Sky, or in the New Year Sky, with just a random energy double buff. Still a beautiful print though, and this was given out for free as well on this year's Lunar New Year, which I appreciate. Primal Crisis. Such a good looking artwork. And, as it turns out, just still one of the best prints to this day, but limited to that Monster Hunter event. If you don't have this, Breakfast at Valerio's is a good alternative, but yeah, that was an awesome one. Some other prints from Monster Hunter. Fires of Hate, a really important pickup from Valentine's of this year. I only have one copy. I wish I had more copies than that, but it's definitely worth getting whenever that comes back around. Here's the print I mentioned that you can use instead of Primal Crisis, if you don't happen to have it. Brothers in Arms. Looking pretty good. Joachim and Vice there, I believe. Yeah, they're looking good. Let's look at the original art. Yeah, I think that's Joaquin, but he does look super different with him not wearing his traditional outfit. And even Vice, with him not having his hood, is a little bit hard to tell. But yeah, this has become an awesome print. It sees a lot of use in the Patia meta, Patia endorsed, Patia approved meta. Proper maintenance, the red impulse, memories of youth, welcome to the Halidom. One of the cutest, just look at all these cuties, look at these baby dragons. Not is here, not one of the best characters, Tiki. One of the best characters, Peony. Well, Peony's okay. I'm not a Peony enthusiast, but the other two, me and my bestie, one of my favorites, Memory of a Friend, pretty good. We're almost to the end. We're almost to the end. Best family. Having some family time. This is also a pretty nice one. With that beautiful moon and a Julieta print. And Nevin looking too cool with Pinon in the background doing all the work. Whew. I think that's it for Wyrmprints, y'all. I don't know if I could go on any longer vamping on these Wyrmprints, but I'm gonna try. We have a long maintenance. I'm gonna try continue. Let me get some more tea. I hope you're staying hydrated. If you're still here, what's going on with you today? What's going on? How's it going? It seems like you may have some time on your hands, as I myself do, trying to ride out this long maintenance. So we will persist. We will continue to cover weapons and cover adventurers. And maybe we'll cover stickers. Who knows? I just thought of that. I haven't looked at those in a while either. But let's start with the weapons. Oh boy, so what's the best way to explain this? So let me start by saying the way I have my weapons set up is by might. I personally only keep weapons that are at least a 5-star rarity, but at the 5-star rarity, I have all the weapons except the Lucky Hanatsuki paddle, which was paid only during the first New Year's of the game. At the time, I was a strictly free-to-play player, didn't get it, it also wasn't a particularly good weapon. Now, I would probably buy something like that, because I kind of like those more cosmetic purchases that don't give you a huge edge over everybody else. The only exceptions to my 5-star rule are that I do have some of these 4-star weapons which were from holidays. I was keeping these until the encyclopedia, but the encyclopedia never came. Hopefully it will come tomorrow or today as part of this big revamp, sometime before the anniversary at least, I hope, so that I can get rid of these weapons, and they may be gotten rid of for me anyway. They might just become skins, similar to how I expect the big cheese here to become a skin, as well as Triumphal Bream Blade from the New Year's event. But yeah, I essentially went through all the Void pages. Anything that was a 5-star I crafted, and then I have all the Chimera Tech, all of the Manticore, all of the Core Elemental, all of the Hydreigon Bane, and all of the Hydreigon Trial Tier 2, but not all of the Agito weapons. You can see there's a couple other event weapons mixed in here too, like the Monster Hunter ones, which were pretty sweet. This is actually one of my favorite daggers. It just looks like a sword, but it's from the Monster Hunter event. I tend to use that a lot, that skin. And some of my other prints, Stellar Pegasus. Prints, weapons. This is at level 80 right now, but back in the day, what I used to do was I would spend Damascus ingots and dismantle my weapons to get more Twinkling Sand. Because if you may remember, you may not, but in the first year of the game, the real gate when it came to crafting weapons was Twinkling Sand, because you only got it really until Mercurial Gauntlet. You only got it from playing events, so you're essentially time locked behind however many events had taken place. But if you used Damascus ingots on 5-star weapons and dismantled them, you didn't get back ingots, you got back all of the component sands that would have gone into it. So if I say dismantled this, I could get back 5-star core weapons worth of sands and get 5-star weapons at level 80 instead of having one at level 100. And that tended to be what I like to do. I did that like 3 times, that unbinding trick, because it really didn't matter having a level 100 weapon versus a level 80. I still have that attitude to this day. Like, the 0 Unbound for me is pretty much fine. Like, I don't really care if you have a max Unbound weapon. It is a lot better with Agito, to be sure, but for like High Dragon Tier 2, I would never try max Unbind those unless I just had ingots to throw around, which granted, we have gotten a lot of ingots. Some more core weapons. There are some that I wonder what's going to happen to after the updates. This is a good example, Falchion. If it just becomes a skin, what's going to happen to the Prime Recovery ability? Is this going to be a universal ability that we can unlock? Or is this just going to be gone forever? And same is true of Fencelir, you know? This has Attacking Strength Debilitator, such a specific ability, such a unique ability for a weapon. But I don't really know what's going to happen to those. So then we get into the Chimera Tech. We've gone through the core weapons. These Chimera Tech weapons, I generally have one of each. Sometimes I have a couple if I was doing some comps or projects which required multiple, but it's very rare that I have multiple. I think it's just in Shadow. I think I have, 2 Shadow Axes and 2 Shadow Wands. Oh, I remember what happened. With the axe in particular, I had maxed out my first copy, but then for budget reasons, I wanted to show off a clear with a copy that didn't have unbinds so that players could emulate that. I have, let's now do by Agito, by rarity, I guess, so you can see the Agito. Or, what we'll do is sort by ability, so you can see some of these weapons that have no abilities, so that would include the High Dragons. So you can see the sword, the blade, the dagger, the axe, the lance, bow, wand, staff, and that should be true in all these other weapon classes, or all these other elements rather. The High Dragon weapons don't have any abilities, so they all fall here toward the top. And then the Void weapons have abilities, and generally these are going to be complete sets. But I don't have any of the 4-star weapons anymore. I've sold them or gotten rid of them from my collection. So one of my concerns with the change that's happening is, like, if you at least had those 4-star weapons once, are you going to have the ability unlocked? Or are you going to have to recraft them? Because if you have to recraft them, I might have to actually craft a lot of 4-star weapons, since technically I don't have them anymore. And it was basically because I ran out of inventory space that I don't have them. Alright, so besides, so now the 5 stars are all going to be mixed up. But besides those High Dragon weapons, these are the Agitos I have right now. I've been working on Volk and Kayan on Master. What I've found that I like to do the most is play the Master Trials, or the content for which Master Trials exist. Basically because once the Master difficulty comes out, you're getting better drops on the Expert thanks to the survival bonus, and you can kind of feel fairly confident in playing that for a while, trying to collect all those weapons, and there's no rush on the other content. Like, I'm not rushed for Ciela, I'm not rushed for Twins, not rushed for Tartarus, but with the Master difficulty, I have found that the pubs for that tend to dry up. So right now what I'm doing is Kayan with the weeklies, because I find that to be harder. So right now I need to do 3 more weapons, probably a few more weeks of work, which hopefully will take me into Ciela's Wrath release on Master. And as you can see for Volk, I just love playing Volk, so I'm only missing 1 there. But I am missing the... I'm missing the bow. So I don't have anything to tempt Cerise to come home for me this gala. And for the other elements, I just have a few. Like, I have the bow for Eleonora. I have an axe for Pietra, but actually not maxed out yet. And this I built for Silas, and I have been using it for auto. It's been helpful. And same with these. Like, these have helped with my solos. I'm working on this one, Khalidbolg. But Tartarus, I really love the weapons. They're probably my favorite in the series. I love how they look of all the Agito weapons, and I also love the skill. So I really only expected to ever have a full collection of Shadow weapons because of how easy Kayan was to auto on Expert. As it turns out, I just love playing Volk, so I ended up getting close to a collection of Flame, and I'll probably try finish it. But now with Tartarus, it's really the only... it's the only element since Shadow where I've actually wanted to collect all those, and I think I will. I mean, eventually I will. It may take me a while, but hopefully we have we have some time to take care of that. Hopefully I get some wings eventually to take care of that and the time to do it. But I think that's going to do it for our weapons. So finally we get into the adventures. I'm going to take a short break and I'll be back so we can talk about the adventurers. Alright, we're back. I think we left off going to look at adventurers. I went and refilled my water, so I'm all set to go for another hour or so. Maybe not quite that long, I don't think we'll last that long, but am here and ready to look at our adventurers. So for this, we're definitely going to do date, so we can see the order in which these characters joined my collection, and we'll do date descending as well, or ascending I guess, so we can see the first few characters we got and then go on from there. So as you can see, this is what I often talk about. Eleonora, first adventurer I ever summoned. Eleonora was part of my team before Elisanne, before Ronzel, before Cleo, and that's pretty much it, before all of them. So she's been here for a while. She was here before Aoi. Aoi appeared on a banner for me, and new players may not realize this because you get a bunch of these characters for free as part of the tutorial summon, but it used to be that you just had to get all 3 stars from the summoning pool. Like Aoi I happened to get randomly, I believe. I think that's why she's so high up here. And like early in the game, I remember using Luther. Like Luther was one of the only 4 stars I had, so I used him for the first raid event, and I used Zardin also. Zardin just seemed to be faring a little better for me than Gerota. So I had like Ellie, Zardin, Gerota, and Celiera, who was our welfare unit. I don't think I really used Sabella. I might have tried to use her and she didn't work out. Or maybe I just decided to use Ellie instead of her because Ellie was a 4-star. And at the time I thought rarity was the most important thing. Among these original characters, I still need to Mana Spiral Luca. I felt bad not mentioning him. A little bit of it was intentional, but yeah, I do want to Mana Spiral him. I like to Mana Spiral the story characters, so I've done that for the other ones for whom it's available, but not for Luca just yet. I just haven't had the resources to do so. The first 5-star adventurer I summoned was actually Ezlith. So yeah, Ezlith just was on a raid up on that first banner. I happened to get her, so that's why that's the case for her. Eleonora was the first adventurer I promoted to 5-star though. And I want to say Mikoto was the first adventurer I 50 noted. That's a bit of trivia, but we'll get to him eventually. So this is pretty much all I had through the first raid. That was my entire roster. And now let's look through the second raid, which would have been Melsa's event. I added Francesca, Rickard, I added Rodrigo, Eileen, Lily, and Lily is Mana Spiraled now for her shared skill. Raymond and Halloween Elisanne. I got really lucky getting a lot of the focused 5-stars with almost just like 1 10-fold on many of these banners. So that's why I didn't have to go too deep on these, but I also didn't really build out a collection of dragons because of that. After Melsa, between Melsa and Elias, I managed to pick up Malara and Johanna. I like both of them right now. Only Johanna is augmented. She's 50 nodes. Malara is only 45. I am a fan of her, but I do like the axe variant the most. So she's the one who I put most of my resources into. Sanoa is such a big fan favorite. Everybody loves the summer alt of Sanoa. I really like the original though for that max HP buff. It was pretty cool, even at the time. Such a unique character. And Naveed. Naveed, probably the character I look most like in Dragalia Lost, but I do have glasses. So yeah, I have the beard going on right now in the quarantine. So I'm not like Pietro completely anymore. I'll probably look more like Naveed if I have to be totally honest, but I rarely dress like Naveed. He is much more suave than I am. Besides that, or from there I should say, prior to Elias we did pick up Louise. I think we might have gotten her off like a single on her banner. And then our next raid as a way of marking our progress. Well, that might have been the last raid until the New Year, so between Elias and Christmas, or the end of the year, Dragon Yule, we managed to pick up quite a few things. I remember trying really hard to get Lucretia, but I ended up getting Maribel instead, because I was very moved by Elias's story, and yes, my Elias is promoted. I do try promote the raid welfare characters to a 5-star rarity, because I feel like they're sort of canonical, but I don't like to go all the way 50 nodes, because I have no resources. I just splurge too much on Wyrmprints, I guess. But anyway, I got Pia, and I got Vixel eventually, and I really like them. Pia, the only reason she's not promoted is because I like her to be small. I feel like she's more cute at 4-star, so that's why she's at 4-star. But I really wanted Lucretia to round out the crew. I ended up getting Maribel, who was a wand, but not the wand I was looking for, and didn't complete the actual Harmonia Choir that year. But soon after, I did pick up Pietro around that time. Didn't use him at all, really, until Hybernhilda's Trial came out, so he was not even really on my radar. But I saw some players using him to really good effect, and I thought he was really cool for that trial. He was a little bit off meta. He was used in some speedruns, so that's really when I decided to pick him up and kind of got into more of the endgame of Dragalia Lost, and that's why he holds such a special place in my heart. Otherwise, I was pretty fortunate for Dragon Yule to have gotten Cleo, as well as Nefaria, and Nefaria is promoted, but not 50 noted. Unfortunately, this Nefaria ult just was really bad from a gameplay standpoint. Her damage is really low, but she does look really pretty in her outfit. And she has a cute story as well, so I'm glad to have promoted her, but I couldn't go all the way. Dragon Yule Cleo is probably more on my short list to 50 node because I think her shared skill seems cool. I kind of want to share it. And she has a pretty nice combo time, chain co-ability, and regular co-ability of critical rate. So Dragon Yule went off well. In the early days, I was pretty successful with getting the on-focus adventurers, and I would say even to this day I've been relatively successful, very lucky. I first got Mikoto, who is a big favorite of mine, on the New Year's banner. I actually got him expecting to get Ieyasu because Ieyasu was the 5-star blade at the time, and when it dropped, it ended up being Mikoto. And I wasn't even mad because Mikoto really helped me out. I had just recently cleared High Midgard Stormer for the first time using Yuden, and I became more of a Mikoto main, and it was a way for me to contribute because back in the day, co-abilities worked across different players in co-op, so I felt like I was contributing because by using my Mikoto, even though he only had Pele as a dragon, he was giving everybody else in my team, like the other people I was playing with, 10% strength bonus from his co-ability. So I loved using Mikoto for that reason. The first one I 50 noted. I'm pretty sure Pietro would have been the second, but it's hard for me to say for sure. Eldwater was very scarce at the time, so like promoting or 50 noting in particular was like a really, really tough decision to make, especially for lower rarity characters because they had worse co-abilities overall than higher rarity characters at the time. Anyway, I ended up getting lucky though on the New Year's banner. Not out of the norm for me, but I did pick up Ieyasu, Sazanka, and Addis as well. And then, interestingly, yeah, I want to say this is true, looking ahead a little bit. I also, soon after that, and I think this was on Cerise's Gala, I got my last 3-star out of the 3 stars in the game, and it was Vice. So Vice has become a favorite of mine, mostly because in that first 6 or 7 months of playing the game, I guess maybe 5 or 6 overall, I kept thinking to myself, like, Vice was always on my short list, so anytime I did a summoning session, I was like, well, it could be Estelle, it could be Edward, it could be Vice, and Vice ended up being the final character for me that kept 3-star summons exciting, because it actually gave me something to hope for when a 3-star dropped, that it wouldn't just be a dupe, it could be Vice, who I didn't have. So Vice kind of took on a more mythological status for me, and then when I got him, I finally checked out his story, and I liked his story a lot, but the mana spiral really put him over the top. So that's when I fully built out and invested in Vice. It also happened to be that I didn't get Gala Alex or even go for her, but Vice came out at the same time, or his Mana Spiral came out around the same time, and gave me that level of power that's helped me push through a lot of content as well. So I've been really liking Vice. I got Hawk, I think going for Gala Cerise. I want to say Hawk appeared and I thought it might have been Gala Cerise, but it was a Hawk instead. But Hawk, similarly, he was definitely one of the characters pre-launch that I was most excited about just based on his appearance. I think he looks really awesome. His outfit, his whole style, he has a superhero-ness to him. Like, he feels really epic. So I like Hawk, and at the beginning of the game, Hawk was kind of more of a meme character. Like, he wasn't actually that good because there weren't too many opportunities to stun things, and he didn't have his spiral yet. And that's actually what I liked about him. He was not this end-all be-all, like, overpowered character. He was not that good, but that made it fun to use him because he was a meme character. Like, it was cool to do a lot of damage with him when you could pull it off just because it happened so infrequently. And so they ended up making him a lot more pushed, a lot more powerful, and he was already a character I liked and had taken to 50 nodes. He was kind of my counterpart to Eleonora as far as wind bows went. So I ended up doing his Mana Spiral. I use him for a lot of content, and I do think he's a fantastic adventurer, probably the best choice among the free adventurers right now. After that, I ended up getting my first Vanessa. Like, a lot of the High Midgardsormr staples of the day, I got for the first time on that Gala banner with Gala Cerise, so I got both Vanessa and Verica. And as I said when I talked about Jeanne d'Arc, I also got Hildegard at that time, I think. And that was sort of the last thing I got off that banner. Then Sufang, got from his raid event. Some more 3 stars were added to the game. Can you imagine 3 stars being added? I would love to see 4 stars be added to the game these days. But those were really the only things I was collecting because I was doing a very minimal amount of summoning. I want to say I may have been doing like strictly just daily deals, trying to save up my Wyrmite, using the daily deals left over from my Sunlight stone that I bought for Dragalia Jeanne d'Arc. But eventually, I think this is the next Gala that we got to. No, that can't be right. How did I get Curran? How do I not know this? I don't know how I got Curran or Lowen, but eventually I got Curran and Lowen. It felt like this was on a... For some reason, I think this was on a Gala. Oh! This is probably when I was going for that Wyrmprint. I think that's what this was. I had now saved up enough. Forest Bonds, the bow Wyrmprint came out, and I was like, I have to have the bow Wyrmprint for Eleonora. I like these bow characters. Let me summon all my resources for a Wyrmprint. And I think in the process I got Lowen, Curran, as well as Flora and Larano, which would make sense because they would have been on focus on that. So that kind of checks out in my mind. I got Nefaria was my first dream summon. Love her, she's awesome. I was happy to have the Dragalia variant of her, but the original is much better, and especially with her Mana Spiral, she became excellent. So glad to have her on board. I guess Alex's chapter of the story came out a little bit before the Fire Emblem crossover, because you can see Alphonse there next, followed by Yue. Yue, super adorable. Had to take her all the way. I do have her shared skill. Fjorm, never really built her. I never really got into like the quadruple comp teams that roamed the wilds for a while. You know, like Pibble, Fjorm, the cheese comps, Karina. I've just never really been that into it, so I never built Fjorm. I haven't built Carl. But Marth, I ultimately decided to build. I like low HP strategies. Marth is just super potent at what he does. I avoided him for a long time, and I would say I still very infrequently use him in co-op. I've used him recently when he complements the Volk people or the Volk teams I'm running with. I'll bring him on, like let's say to help Crom by using his Affliction, but otherwise I tend not to run Marth. Have Lin Yu here, Fritz, Odetta. Odetta did get the promotion from me. I guess I was enough of an Odetta fan to give her the promotion, but I don't really use Odetta too much for anything. Albert, Orsom were picked up. I think all of these characters were picked up trying to go for Veronica. Veronica was the next big thing I really tried to summon. Ended up getting her off of a platinum summon, which would guarantee you one of the Fire Emblem characters. I used all my Wyrmite first and then had to use Diamantium to do that, and just so happened to get her instead of getting Fjorm or Marth, so was super lucky to get out of that with actually having her, considering how many resources I spent. But yeah, this pretty much blanked a lot of my resources. Luckily, I picked up Galaranzel fairly easily, and then I picked up Gala Mim, maybe even on the same banner. I might not have gone for Ranzel on his first banner. I might have gotten him on Mim's banner. I don't really remember going for Ranzel. I think I was going for Fire Emblem stuff at the time. Either way, eventually I got Xuansong, and then after that we had our Wedding Bells, and for some reason I got Annalie, and then eventually Heinwald I know was a dream summon. So Heinwald, yeah. He was next on my list to dream summon. Offensive healer just seems so cool. I had Curran. I did like Heinwald more than Curran at the time from the event. I would say that's flipped for me. But at the time of Accursed Archives, I liked Heinwald the most. And I thought he had kind of a really special playstyle. So he's still a favorite of mine. In Flames of Revelation, I got Reyna, but not Ramona. But then what happened was there was a Gala banner. Yes, Gala Cleo's banner came out, and I decided to pull on it for Gala Cleo and also for the chance of picking up some good stuff in the flame element. And I want to say, not only did I get Ramona, but I got like a really good flame dragon for me as well. It might have been Arctos or maybe Konohana Sakuya at that time, by that point. But needless to say, like, it worked out way better than I could have imagined. I ended up getting both of them, and like they were, I think, kind of important in the Mercurial Gauntlet clears that were going around, or like they were preferred as some of the more powerful flame options. For whatever reason, I just needed some flame power at the time. That's what I know, and I got super lucky to get Ramona not on her own banner, which this ordering might give you the illusion of that, but on Gala Cleo's banner. Next up, I got Summer Estelle. Randomly got Wedding Aoi. I summoned a lot to try to get Wedding Aoi. I loved her outfit. I thought it was just really pretty. But I didn't end up getting her. I ended up only getting Wedding Ellie on Wedding Ellie's banner. Even though, yeah, Wedding Aoi is probably the one I wanted the most. But luckily just randomly picked her up. So that was super lucky, super nice. And I think I skipped a lot of the summer banners. Like, I remember going for the 4 stars. Like, I wanted Ranzel, I wanted Luca. Luca happens to be promoted. Sorry, Ranzel. Even though I would say I'm more of a Ranzel fan on net. So, sorry, Luca fans. Natalie showed up with Yaten. I kind of wanted Yaten because I liked his whole aesthetic, but I got Natalie. And Natalie ended up being super clutch and super good for me in Mercurial Gauntlet. I used the Natalie, Valentine's Azalith team with Elisan and somebody else. Like, that was my whole setup. I cleared all the gauntlets that way. I think I could have done that with Eleonora. At some point I definitely did. But yeah, that was a really good setup. I liked Natalie a lot in Mercurial Gauntlet. Then I ended up getting a bunch of these summer characters when going, I guess, for Gala Yuden, it looks like. So I got Summer Cleo, Summer Verica, and then also just randomly got Lucretia, Valentine's Hildegard, and Leia, I think, when going for Gala Yuden. Got Odric for free, and then everything through Student Maribel was trying to wail for Cerise. Like, I bought every anniversary pack to get Gala Cerise. Did not get her. Was so crushed. I had nothing else. Like, there was no other thing I could buy in the game. And that was the first really big mistake wailing session I had. I don't really use too many of these characters these days. Like, yes, I picked up some 4 stars who were already meta and are very good, like Noelle and Emma. They were meta at the time, but I never felt the need to have them, and I guess I must have picked them up then. I picked up Summer Celiera, Beautician Zardan, Xainfried. Xainfried, somebody who probably would have been one of my favorite characters, but I just didn't get him until a year into the game, so I never got really close to him, and that's why he's no longer, or like, he never really reached that level. Julieta, on the other hand, I just love her interactions with Ellie, so like, even though I never had her until getting the Summer Julieta, I am a Julieta fan. Student Maribel, very cute, but yeah, man, this really broke the bank for me. Like, this was the dark period of Dragalia, and then we get into the time attack phase. Luckily, as I mentioned, I randomly got off the free tenfolds Delphi, Patia, and Cassandra. Then I had enough resources saved up for Halloween and got lucky. Really, what I wanted to do was get Edward and Althemia, but on my way to getting Althemia, because I missed those the first year, I ended up getting Halloween Mim on the way there, and I wanted Halloween Odetta and Halloween Lowen, just because those were also 4 stars. But yeah, I got everything I wanted before I got Halloween Althemia, which wasn't too far into my summoning either, so that was super lucky for me. I got Yuya. Yuya was featured with Chelsea. Didn't get Chelsea, even though I was kind of tempted by Chelsea, but I was just in pure savings mode trying to recover from what had happened at the anniversary. Luckily, Mega Man didn't have a banner. That saved me a lot of resources. Lathna came out with Stirring Shadows on one banner, and Akasha was on the other banner, I believe. But I did pick up Lathna. I don't even really remember going for Lathna, so I don't know why I picked up Lathna. Did I maybe summon for her intentionally? Or, okay, this looks more likely. I think when going for Gala Ellie, who I definitely went for intentionally to make my life easier in the Master High Dragon Trials time attack world that we were in, because Pietra was no longer cutting it, I went for Gala Ellie, and I think I must have picked up Lathna along the way. I did deliberately try get Durant, even though my Durant isn't promoted. I wanted Durant off of his banner with Kamui and Jiangxia, because he was a new 4-star. Like, they used to deliberately release new 4-stars, which was good. That gave you something to try collect. Same thing with Xainfried. Xainfried ended up being the bomb after he got his Chainco ability, but prior to that, I mean, he was mainly just like a cool 4-star to collect off the banner. But in that case, I actually really did want Dragalia Malora, and she took quite a bit of summoning. I got a lot of extra unbinds and copies of Dragalia Jeanne d'Arc for some reason. But I think they shared a banner with the first year Dragalia characters who I already had. So like, I had to go all out of my way to try get Malora. After that, we eventually got Laxi introduced into the story. I must have randomly picked up a Victor at some point. Not really sure when. I know when I got Yaten for sure. This was on the prize showcase. I did some summoning on that and got Yaten as a new character. And then it's New Year's stuff. So Chitose, first pickup, but I really wanted Mitsuhide and Nobunaga, and I was able to get them. By this point, I had kind of recovered a lot of my savings, getting pretty lucky with some of the summoning I had done along the way. Back then, galas were also a lot more infrequent, so there were less demands on your Wyrmite. Hanabusa. And then, I actually, believe it or not, do have a 50-node Joachim. It was very hard to bring myself to do this, just because my first ever character is a Wind Archer, and it was Eleonora, and Joachim just like straight up power crept Eleonora. It was so sad. But I do like Joachim. I like the, I like all of the, what's the right term for them? The Northern Grastia crew, the Windswept crew. That's the word I'm looking for. I think they have a cool theme, and I expect them to do some cool things in the story eventually. So on Galaluka's banner, I guess is when I picked up Joachim, is on Galaluka's banner looking at this. And I think I got Galaluka very early. Then everything was Monster Hunter savings, picked up the Monster Hunter characters. Randomly got Kirsty, I think when going for Valentine's Addis. I really wanted Valentine's Addis. I just think, like, this is when I became a true Addis fan. I think this is one of the most beautiful portraits we have. So contemplative, looking out the window. It's just really pretty. Yeah, and the tea set, like, I love this portrait of Addis. And I loved his playstyle, really fast, bow attacker. I used him a lot in High Jupiter's Trial. He was so fun to play as. But I picked up Valentine's Melody on the way, even though she wasn't my target. On Valerio's banner, I really wanted Valerio, managed to get him, but spent a lot of resources. And, well, after that, I definitely Dream Summoned Julieta, so this is a little weird. I don't remember the Dream Summon being then, but I guess it was. But I Dream Summoned Julieta. And then this was my next biggest whaling session, I would say, but it was like 3 monthly packs to get Mitsuba. I really wanted Mitsuba. I identify a lot with her story. I also come from a restaurant family background, so I like that about Mitsuba. I liked her spirit to try do right by her family. I thought that was really endearing, and I just thought she was really cute also. So Mitsuba did me in as far as my Wyrmite and Diamantium. Managed to get a Kasha when going for Mitsuba. Next, I picked up Templar Hope, another rare 4-star who I literally just summoned just to get Templar Hope. I didn't want whatever the 5-star was, I just wanted Templar Hope off of his banner. Aldred's event came, and managed to get Belina and Grace. Honestly, might be the most influential banner in the game this past year. Like, Grace has been so fundamental to changing the way auto works. Grace is just an insane character. I'm really lucky and glad I was able to pick her up. I believe I was actually going for Belina because I like the low HP characters and their playstyle, and I like Belina's look a little bit more overall. But it took me a while to get Belina, and I got Grace along the way. I managed to get Gald, I think, just because I was just going for 4-stars. Again, like, I was trying to maintain my collection of 4-stars even when I lacked the resources to get 5-stars. And then went into hard savings mode for Fire Emblem. Managed to pull the Fire Emblem characters, I think in large part because I didn't miss any the first year. That gave me the savings I needed to get the second year characters. We had another Dream Summon where I Dream Summoned Lazri, I'm pretty sure. Then we had Wukong's event. Again, just went for Sha Wujing. People were kind of upset because I posted that I was summoning on Gala Leaf's banner for Sha Wujing, but I got him within like 2 singles or 1 single. Like, it was very short. It was literally 1 summon. I felt guilty about that, so then I went back and did a few more singles and I got Gala Leaf. That made me feel pretty good. I felt like, okay, at least I tried to get Gala Leaf and got Gala Leaf. Even though he wasn't my target, I really just wanted Sha Wujing to, again, collect the 4-stars. Yes. The next character that I went all in for was Nadine. Prior to Nadine's release, my mindset was, I'm just going to save and save for the anniversary, and I'm going to try have 100,000 Wyrmite by the anniversary, and 100 single summon vouchers, and 10 tenfold vouchers, and that's going to be a bajillion summons, and I'm going to get Cerise. Then Nadine came out, and her event came out, and this was just a must summon for me. I mean, look at what's going on here. Look at these background pictures. It's so precious, but what I really liked about her event was the focus on memories. That really spoke to me, and I just think the fact that she was so sensitive to the concept that photos are a way of preserving memories and the importance of preserving those special times, like, that put it on another level for me where I was like, this is one of my new favorite characters. I'm a big Nadine fan, and it even got better recently because of the event with Nefaria. But going for her, I picked up Linnea on the way, I picked up Radiant Song on the way, and I picked up Tobias along the way, so I didn't get her cheap. I spent a lot of my vouchers, but it wasn't whaling. That's only been Cerise and Mitsuba so far. After that, we got Zayna added to the campaign. Jiangxia, just a random pickup, I think. I'm losing track here a little bit. Why do I have her? Who was I going for? Oh, okay. I know what happened. Gala Cat was on the banner with Catherine, who was on the banner with Eugene, where I randomly picked up some sticks, but I also picked up Jiang Xia. So it wasn't until I had gotten all of these things that I got my first Gala Cat. And that's why I have these random characters. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Rhythmic Resolutions, but this is also when I took kind of a break from DL for a while. I think that helped rejuvenate me, refresh me. I love the music in Rhythmic Resolutions, but I just didn't really vibe with the characters as much as I would have hoped. So I wasn't planning on going for them, but then I saw Gala Cat on there, and with how strong Gala Mars had been and I skipped him, I felt like I needed Gala Cat. The next time I summoned was on the Gala remix with Summer Mikoto and Summer Patia. I only picked up Summer Patia, but basically my mantra was, I just want one of these two, and Gala Mars happened to be there as well, and I needed one Gala Mars. The reason I only wanted one of the two was whichever one I didn't get could become my dream summon target. So I didn't get Mikoto, I got Patia, and I decided I'll dream summon Mikoto. For Galaxi's banner, I summoned pretty hard. I was kind of interested in Summer Sanoa and Norwin, but didn't get Sanoa. But I did get Norwin, which was nice. Laxi, I was trying to power up my flame teams. I realized I might need a character like Laxi to do some auto clears, and that's when I was really into the experimenting with Volk auto clears stuff. Yukata Kurin, I picked up, he was on a banner with Yukata Cassandra, a Gala Remix banner. I managed to pick him up, but not her. I think just doing single summon vouchers. Urias, picked up fairly recently. Man, it's funny, I can't remember some of these recent summons. I can remember the older ones, but not the more recent ones. Well, in any case, definitely Nevin and Pinon I got when going for Gala Thor and then Gala Thor merges respectively. But I think Cassandra and Urias, I think they were part of the Thor session as well. Because I remember being shocked at my good luck of like getting 2 5-stars, but they were actually new. And finally, the most recent addition in my collection, Yearning Queen, Incognito Nefaria. I love her bond, I love her friendship with Nadine, I think it's very cute. They're 2 of my favorite characters now. And that's everyone here. So from first to last summon, that's everybody I've summoned. We've already covered the weapons, we've already covered the Wyrmprints, the dragons, the dragon roost, the Halidom. There are only a few things left to do. So I remembered I haven't shared my shared skills. So as I said when I showed those adamantite ingots, I have been buying those and I use a lot of the diamantium to unlock shared skills so I can test various auto teams and solo teams. So right now this is what I have unlocked as far as shared skills. I have UAs, Halloween Lowens, Vericas, Nadine's, Hunter Cerise, which I kind of regret, that hasn't really helped me out, but it is kind of positional, so I thought it might help me. I have Lily's, Elisand's, Ronzels, of course, you always have those. Wedding Aoi, Silas, pretty good positional, pretty interesting effect with the strength debuff as well. Wowie is here mainly for positional, but also for sleep, it can come in handy. Annalie with the stun. Yukata Kurin, I just wanted a 4 cost. I don't think this was actually that smart of a move. We got some extra light tomes from the recent event, so I ended up getting this, but I don't think this was too smart of a move on my part. Summer Cleo, on the other hand, she has been pretty great. I have Julieta, Gala Luca, Patia, Heinwald, another one where I just wanted a 4 cost. Veronica, Summer Patia, Kurin, Natalie. We have a lot of the popular units here. And mainly because I've just been trying to test them, but it is pretty fun to mix and match. And honestly, I'm so tempted to get Incognito Rias. Incognito Nefaria, where are you? but I think hers costs 7. Yeah, I only have 6, so I might just wait on this. I don't really need it. I should totally wait on it. I don't even know why I'm considering it. But it's been a long recording, y'all. Last thing, let's check out the sticker situation. So I'm pretty sure I have all the available stickers in the game. I'm pretty confident I haven't missed any stickers. They have introduced more and more, stickers tied to events over the past year, which I like. Basically, my first page, these first 4 are what I consider like the animal soundboard, with the exception to a degree of Tiki. Oh, I don't have on the sound effects right now, which is a shame because they're very cute. But yeah, I tend to just use these as greetings nowadays and just like, it's a cute animal or it's a cute Tiki. You can't be too upset about that, about seeing that. So I guess there's only 87 stickers in the game. And for epithets, let's check this out now. I have 604. I know I don't have all the epithets because I definitely don't have the speedrunning epithets. And in my normal endeavors, that's the shop. In my normal endeavors, I don't have the epithets related to mentoring. I've only just randomly found 13 people to mentor. I don't know how people find mentors. Like, do people change their name to mentor and just go in these rooms? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, how do you find people to mentor? I've rarely found it. So I have no idea how people have like 300 of these. It seems almost crazy to me. But I have seen people who like are really, I guess they really care about the community and mentoring, so they've done a lot of that. But unfortunately, I've only just found 13 people. But yeah, also haven't finished the hard and very hard of chapter 14 and 15. I'm waiting for hopefully some cost reduction for the anniversary to take care of that. But finally, y'all, I think that is going to do it for this video. I feel like I've shown everything I can. I mean, I don't know. Oh, I forgot something. Let's go to the treasure trade. There's stuff in here, right? Isn't there something? Isn't there something in here? I mean, not really. Nah, I think we're good. I think we already kind of saw this with the item portion, right? I mean, what is there really to show? These are all traded out. Everything's traded out that can be traded out. These are not. I'm not going to go for it. I'm not going to try to get the Eldwater. Yeah, I just looked at that. Void battles, I have nothing. I have no currency. We're going to be so broke if we need rupees for the weapon changes. Hide dragons. They're good, they're done. And last but not least, Agito Uprising, it's done. Alright everyone, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this very long and very meandering tour of my account in Dragalia Lost. Hopefully this has bought you some time as you await the end of the maintenance period. I know this has taken quite a bit of my time, and I'm well finished my tea and water at this point, so time for me to kick back and relax and wait until the digest. Looking forward to reacting to that. But again, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.